Hi, I'm Deborah Grant, Master Chatter of Shadow House Audio Tours and the host of the Curfew Live. Well, today's guest is Kevin Farmer. Kevin is the Deputy Director of the Barbados Museum and Historical Society. But he's also one of those little ones I supervise while at school. Over time, I recognize he's developed a passion for history or heritage or culture. Okay, I guess you can see where I'm going with this, so I'll stop now. And let's hear about who is Kevin Farmer, and all the nice stuff that we are going to, by the end of this session, let people know that this is a fantastic area of interest that we should be involved in.
Okay.
It is one of my what I will call one of my unofficial passions. You have been able to make it your full-time passion, and we would like to hope that by the end of this session, everyone listening to this will want to have it as part of their being. So, Kevin, who is Kevin?
Oh, no. Who's Kevin? That's such a loaded question. But first, I need to go back when Deborah said little one. Just because I have all this gray, let's understand that I was in first or second form and Deborah was a prefect. Just remember. Okay, that is a key thing. Deborah was a prefect. Well, here's the other thing though. She's not aged. The hairstyle might have changed and the glasses have gone, but she hasn't aged. Just remember that. Good.
Thank you.
And I wouldn't say what she used to drive to school. I remember that car well. Because it was the type of car that my grandfather drove, so I always loved them. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So just say it was vintage.
Yes.
And classic rolled up into one.
Yes. I would love that car right now. Wow. Yeah. I would drive through all these people that want to bounce me. I would drive through with that car.
There you go. That car was built for resiliency.
Exactly.
and low mileage.
Yes. Right.
So, I don't know. Who's Kevin? It's kind of hard to talk about yourself. It really is. Kevin works at the museum. Kevin obviously went to foundation. Kevin loved history from primary school.
Okay.
It's, to be honest, is one of the few subjects I loved, and maybe I was lucky enough to end up having a job that involves history and heritage, and helping not only to preserve what our past is, but hopefully helping to educate people about how that past influences our present, and then how all of that can, in fact, help other people not only have an interest, but make it a career.
Yes.
Beyond just having a passion for it. Passions can evolve into careers and professions.
Yes.
And ours, and history can do that. And the history of this island can definitely do that in multiple ways.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to end up with one being in a museum. One could start a tour company. One might be artistically gifted, so one might end up writing what we used to call comics, but now they're called graphic novels about various aspects of that history. One might have a particular passion for script writing or for doing movies or documentaries, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of our own stories that would make interesting movies, interesting documentaries. This is this new website up called Quibi, and Quibi does like 10-minute docs or scenes from pictures, and as such, we could turn what you might see as an event that lasted 4 days and make an entire season of 10 minutes out of that one thing.
Okay.
So imagine, I'm sorry, we're coming up to April 28th. So imagine National Heroes Day, 1937 riots, labor disturbances being done as a movie or short or short
Yes.
series,
Yeah.
that ever people will watch,
Yes.
because those type of human stories resonate, not just only for us as Barbadians, but
Mm-hmm.
across,
Yes.
you know, and then to see the wider connections, because when we talk about the 37 riots in Barbados,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about riots that then didn't only happen in Barbados, they happened throughout the English speaking Caribbean over the span of a year.
Okay.
So
People were
imagine
rising up. Mm-hmm.
people are rising up. They were sick and tired of what they saw as injustices,
Mm-hmm.
poor conditions, not only of work but of living,
Right.
no access to education or health, and wanted change.
Mm-hmm.
And that happening over the period of a year throughout the region. So you might even see that some of the same people or
Mm-hmm.
certain characters hopping from island to island, spreading that
Okay.
particular message.
Message. Okay.
So there are things like that. So as I said, history is always alive and interesting, and there are various ways for us to tap into it.
Yes.
And then remember this: one of the oldest heritage/historic things that we have produced, we continue to produce, and it makes us money, and that's
Yes.
rum. Can't
Rum.
really talk about rum during COVID, but
No.
rum, because we're not supposed to be drinking, but
Nope.
recognize that
Not
that
supposed to
that
be buying.
oh, yes, that is true. We're not supposed to be buying.
Buying. Mhm.
Hmm, that's interesting. I will leave that there.
I
We're
don't know
not
how you got
supposed to
me.
be buying.
How did you pull me into this alcohol talk?
No comment. Absolutely none. But realize that's one of the oldest
Yes.
heritage products that we have,
Yeah.
outside of sugar, and
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
stories that come out of that and why it's here, but also how we've used it and how we can continue to use it,
Is it? Yeah.
to generate income and to help each other. And, you know, so for me, that shows that history isn't dead. I know there
Right.
are certain people who like to think that it is,
Mm-hmm.
but I would tell them, think about it. Even the clothes that we're wearing now,
Mm-hmm.
or the hairstyles we are wearing, or the
Mm-hmm.
beards we are wearing,
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing new.
Yeah. Yes.
Something has been repackaged, or we've decided,
Yes.
I like that vintage look, and we're going
Yeah.
for that.
Yes.
So there's nothing new, but they're just different ways of packaging, marketing,
Mm-hmm.
branding it, making revenue, just only not only for the one person, but for a series of people.
Yes.
And that's how we need to look at history. And that's how, in fact, we need to look at the things that we can create from our history. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you didn't tell it. Obviously, from what you're saying, then Kevin is history. Kevin lives, breathes, oozes
Oh, that sounds
history.
bad. That now makes me seem as though I
No,
don't have a life.
no, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. Because for me, having spent so much time in the corporate world in terms of accounting, and my
Hmm.
coming to that point where I was like searching to say, okay, what do I want to spend the rest of my life doing? And my interest was in our stories, and I always thought I knew quite a bit about Barbados. But the more I learn, the more I want to learn, the more and more, and in some cases, I get so proud of our country and our heritage and all our stories. As you talk about stories, when I go, every time there's a lecture, I try, but I know my nighttime lecture thing doesn't quite work
Hmm.
because me and sleeping are very good friends. So that's been my challenge.
Well, all I would say there, here's a plug. If I understand that sleep and you are very good friends, but remember that all the museum lectures we actually tape, we stream them live.
Yes,
Then you can go back to Facebook or to our YouTube page and watch them.
right.
'Cause
Yes,
especially for people like you who like to sleep,
yes,
we got
yes.
you covered.
Yes, I must add in here that you do your back in time movie flashback movie nights as well.
Yes,
And the
yes.
last one I went to, I must admit, was Greece, and I was so looking forward to it. And I know how I can sleep anywhere, Kevin. I can sleep anywhere. But I wanted to watch this thing, so I know that one of the things I must not become comfortable.
Hmm.
So I sat in one of the chairs and I made sure it was a little uncomfortable. So I thought
Mm-hmm.
that that would have kept me awake for the movie. Well, one of
Mm-hmm.
the other things that it's not only comfort in terms of sitting, but it's when I feel warm and wrapped up. And it was beginning to get a little
Mm-hmm.
chilly, so I put on my sweater.
Uh-huh.
And let's just say the next thing I saw was, "You're the one that I want." Do, 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 do. The movie was finished. I fell asleep.
That's really bad though.
Yes,
That's
it is.
really, really,
But
really, really bad.
yes, but for others who can manage, the flashback movie nights are also a great part of
Yep,
the
they're
experience.
done in collaboration with Georgina Calendar.
Okay,
Um, I've now forgotten what the actual thing is. G,
okay,
and that's been a great collaboration
good. Yeah,
with her and Museum. So we look forward to that continuing. In fact, as you know, she's now utilizing that in different heritage areas, not just the
okay,
museum,
okay,
but it's been fantastic. And
good.
it's one of the ways we get people to connect.
Yeah.
The other is our partnership with Michelle Coxington
Mm-hmm.
with the Torchlight Tours,
Yes.
which does reenactments of small snippets of our history,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes tied into a temporary exhibition that we might have. And this
Right.
allows us to bring the museum alive, bring our history alive, bring in especially new and younger audiences who might not necessarily come to the museum.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been fantastic. I look forward to more of that after we come out of the situation we're in. But even the situation that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
museums are there to provide um, examples of what would have happened in the past when
Eh,
we've done that, or
mm-hmm.
when we've gone through that type of
Yes.
epidemic or
Epidemic. Yeah.
pandemic.
Pandemic. Yes.
And I will always tell people, go to our Facebook page, go to IG, go to our Tumblr pages, go to our YouTube pages,
Mm-hmm.
and catch up
Yes.
and understand that we've been here before.
Mm-hmm.
We've survived, we've come out the other end, and that will happen again. But
Yes.
if not for museums and heritage institutions, you wouldn't know that. And so,
It's
so that's why we then become extremely important. And especially what I'll say, if you go to our Facebook page, we have bingo, we have crosswords, we've got Scrabble.
okay.
Uh, yeah, unlock the word of the day for a particular object. Things to
Yes.
do
I saw
while
that.
we're at home,
Yes.
isolated.
Yes.
Drinking our coffee to keep awake
Coffee.
during the day,
okay.
or tea or
Party.
mobby.
Right. Mobby.
Yes,
Mobby. Yeah. Mobby will
yes.
be mine.
Mobby be
Okay.
yours.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I,
I'll
I
drink
want
the
to
Mobby.
ask, so Mobby mixed essence or vanilla essence? Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Let me come back. Mobby is my favorite local drink, but I drink the modern day version of it.
You drink the syrup.
Yes,
Mm.
because I
So so
haven't got anyone that I haven't gotten a good bark supply.
that's your excuse?
But if I go somewhere and there is bark, okay, we're not talking about my culinary skills. I think we covered that in another interview and on Facebook. I can cook and I can probably do
But
these things and I can probably
mm-hmm,
do the boiled bark thing, but it is not my talent. There's a difference between ability and talent and
uh-huh.
giftings. And it's not my gifting. So while someone be able to go and do boil bar, Bobby bar and have the drink there in 2 seconds, it might
Mm-hmm.
take me half the day to a day to get it done. Okay?
Okay.
Right. I'll eventually get it done, but it might take me a little longer because it's just
Mm.
not my gift. I
I see
accept
a
that.
challenge coming on.
Okay. All right.
But the truth is, finding Bobby Bark nowadays is hard. That's the truth.
yes.
It's hard.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not readily found in supermarkets.
Mm-hmm.
But boiling it, everyone has their own little, I should say trick, has their own special recipe or
Right.
special ingredient that they will put in.
Okay.
However, I will make this disclaimer now.
Mm-hmm.
Mobby cannot have a aniseed or cola nut. I'm sorry. And that is a shout out to my Trini friends. I do
Okay.
not understand. I
Okay.
don't understand. I do not understand. And I do not wish to understand.
You know
It is
what?
just wrong.
I ain't getting in that one. I ain't getting in that training
No, but
thing at
no,
all.
no, it's all right. Me and my Trini family just get away often because I don't understand what that is.
Okay. Okay.
Good,
All
good.
right.
So that's my
I
disclaimer.
okay. Okay. Because
Okay.
I love my Trini food, so I ain't getting in there at all.
Yes,
At
yes,
all. At all.
but Trinidad more being food.
Okay. Okay. Granted.
Mm,
Okay.
there you go.
All right. I would accept that.
No problem.
So we talk about just now about you mentioned that knowing your history is so important for the now.
Yes.
There are some persons who don't get that. What can we say? What do you think we should do? How do we package it so that I know there's not everything that everyone's going to get, but unfortunately, some of these persons have a platform that they inform other persons, and they inform other persons with their thought process. And unfortunately, the way I see it is that we are so now accustomed to people feeding us, we don't bother to go and figure things out anymore. So if somebody gets up and say, "There's no need for you to know your history," then the next minute you are now saying, "Oh, there's no need for me to know my history," but you don't know what that person's agenda was for saying that, and you have just gone off with that, and you now become empty.
Mm-hmm.
I did a tour for St. Peter at the Spikestown when they had the bus tour. I was one of the tour guides there. And I must tell you, I was surprised at some of the things that persons older than I am did not know that were basic, to me, it was basic Barbadian knowledge that would make things that are happening today more understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things I didn't know. And I couldn't figure out why that was happening. What is it about history that people don't see? I don't know if you know the answer, but, or you could just probably, what is it about history that people are afraid of?
Ooh, that's $1 million question. It really is. Um, I think sometimes people are uncomfortable with the discomfort that history can bring.
Our history you're talking about.
Our
Right.
history can bring,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want to deal with it, not recognizing that that discomfort is what made us. So we're not victims.
Yes.
We are the descendants of survivors, and
Strong.
we need to
Mm-hmm.
look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, the ones that want to then say, "Oh, we shouldn't,"
Mm-hmm.
um, they should be made to debate about it. Let's find a good historian and let's put them together. Let's have that conversation.
Yes.
Let's also systematically take a look at our structure, because
Mm-hmm.
I know that in our school system, history is no longer one of those compulsory core subjects, and it hasn't been that way now for more than a decade.
Oh,
Um, we need to relook that,
yes.
because all the cultures around the world that are, let's say, quite robust,
Mm-hmm.
that have thriving creative sectors, be it movies or music or literature,
Mm-hmm.
have a very strong underpinning of what their history is. In some
Yes.
instances, they might have myths about their history,
Yeah.
but they have it.
Yeah.
So we need to recognize that out of that history are these multiple things and the knock-on effect that it can have.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is no history, then the large voids that we might have.
Yeah.
And um, I always forget his name. I'm gonna have to ask Harriet, our librarian, again what his name is. But we have that adage: wherever you go in the world, you'll find a
By
Bajan.
the Beijing, yes.
Yes. Well, guess what? There's a crater on the moon named after a Bajan. So it's not only on this Earth, but when you look up at night and you look at the moon, there's a crater on the moon named after Barbados. That might be our part two for our discussion, because I can't
Yes.
remember his name right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And next time any of us have had family members or ourselves who've ever had surgery, and the anesthesiast comes in and he puts you to sleep, well, the person who helped to invent the machine that helped to put you to sleep was a Barbadian.
Okay.
So the father of anesthesiology is a
A
Barbadian.
Barbadian. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
Well,
there are little snippets like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the
Little
thing,
snippets like
because
that.
I like to tell persons one of the reasons besides my personal desire, my love for history, but one of the reasons I wanted to bring this company to Barbadians as well was because I recognized that we had this low self-esteem as a country and as Barbadians. Oh, I can't do that. Only those other people can do that. Oh, we're too small, so we can't do that. Oh, we don't have what it takes, so we can't do the other. But when you know your history, when you know the chart of Barbados, for example, and the things you put in there. I mean, when I go on the tour and I tell persons when the chart of Barbados was signed and that whole concept of no taxation without representation, and I
Mm-hmm.
said, well, so you thought it started the 7th of December at the Tea Party, right? And they're like, well, yeah. I said, but no,
There you go.
and then they start thinking, I have not had a tour of a visitor to the Barbados who at the end of the tour did not go, oh my goodness, Barbados has so much history, and you're up there in the. I mean, compared to our homeland, sometimes they dare to say that it's even more um, achievements, because I can't find another word right now, that we have more achievements in
Mm-hmm.
some cases than their home territory, and they weren't aware of that. And many Barbadians walk in this shadow that, oh, I can't do that, I can't. But I want you to recognize, want us to recognize as Barbadians, we can do anything because it's been done before. It's just now
Yes.
our turn to do it.
Yeah. But in some cases, we've pioneered the way. I mean, I've forgotten his name. Alan Entich
Yes,
created what is the precursor to Google before there was a Google. Hello. But yes, we need to be telling ourselves these stories.
yes,
And I wouldn't necessarily say low self-esteem, because if it was, then we wouldn't do anything at all. I might say that we need to blow our own trumpets a little bit more, not to the point of being
arrogant,
arrogant,
right,
but the point of recognizing that we have been innovating for a very long time, and the ability to innovate and to be an entrepreneur is not new. We've always
right,
done so, but we need
yes,
to do more of it,
correct,
and we need to have the environment in which to do it, which
correct.
means that we also need to have the environment. If someone fails, that's not the
Hmm.
end of life. In fact, failure, if anything, is a fantastic
Fantastic,
teacher, and you're
exactly.
not going to make that mistake again. So it's
Again,
really a
correct,
learning experience,
correct,
and that learning experience can, in fact, help us to develop something else,
correct.
better,
Yes,
because we've learned from those mistakes. So I think
yes,
that needs to be part of however we recreate what our national identity is and our creative identity, because um, it's there. We need to
yes,
shout about it. We need to document it. We need to highlight it.
yes,
We need to remind people, oh, but we've done that.
yeah,
Let's do that in this other area.
yeah.
Um, um, yeah,
Like,
I think that's important.
like I said when we were having the discussion some time ago about the banks and the supermarkets being taken over, and I was like,
Hmm.
and my immediate response was, what's stopping us from doing it again? What's stopping us from opening our own bank again? What's stopping us from opening
Yes,
our own indigenous supermarkets again? What's stopping us from doing whatever we figure we have sold out?
yes,
What is
yes,
stopping us? Nothing is stopping us from doing it.
yes.
We just
Because
need to
remember,
do it.
at the end of the day, business is about making money. That's why
Yeah.
people create a business. They create a business to make money. So you perhaps need to get like-minded individuals together to pool whatever the resources are to
Correct.
create whatever. Because at the end
Correct.
of the day, they will all share in the dividends because it's about making money.
Right. And who's to say
And
that we can't take over another company that's here as well? That's
yes,
something that I find that we don't do well as Barbadians. We don't
uh,
we don't take over. We don't see that concept of taking over another company. We always look for someone on the outside to come to take over to
except,
develop us.
that's funny. Except we've done it, but we don't talk about it. Or I'm trying to remember a very good example. Um, and somebody might correct me later if I'm wrong, but Flight Kitchen.
Hmm.
Flight Kitchen used to be run by, I think, Marriott and their partner was
Okay.
Goddard's, and over time Goddard took that
God, they took
over
over.
from them.
Okay. Right.
You
Okay.
know, there,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's that example.
Yeah. But Goddard has been
Remember,
quietly being a real
yes.
nice conglomerate there. Yes.
Um, I mean, it doesn't exist anymore, but remember, it used to be Manning, Wilkinson, and Chandler,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just went to Manning.
Mm-hmm.
It means that
Right.
Manning perhaps bought out the Chandler
And the
and
Wilkinson.
Wilkinson.
Yeah.
Yes, you know,
Right.
so
So we've done
there's
it.
those. We've done
Right.
it. I'm trying to think of um, trying to think of some others.
But
I might have to grab somebody that hangs in
but
front
you
of me
see,
to help me.
you have mentioned those that are recent in my lifetime. So in my lifetime, it's got to
Yes,
be recent, right?
right, in your
But
lifetime. I'm
right,
sure there are ones before our lifetime too that we
right.
just can't remember.
But what I'm saying is that now in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
what is wrong with a company in 2020, a Barbadian company in 2020, taking over another Republic Bank, for lack of another thing, or
Yep.
just taking over one of the other. What There's nothing in my mind, to stop that. But somehow we seem to think, oh, we can't do this. Because I've been paying attention to some companies, some locally owned, some family owned companies. And when
Mm-hmm.
it got to the point where the principal operators of the family started to age, suddenly you saw overseas interest being introduced rather than expanding it on a local level, rather than bringing in the local talent. And I saw it in the one or two companies, and I was like, why do we keep doing that? Why do we keep thinking that we are not good enough? Because that's how it translates to me. It might not be what they are thinking, but that's how it translates to me, that we are not good enough to be able to take this company and run it, and it's have another 100 years as this particular company run by local Barbadian talent. We see
That's an
that's the
interesting one.
part that's the
I
interest that's the part that I find I have a struggle with. That's why talk about that's why I call the low self-esteem. Maybe low self-esteem is not the most appropriate word, but that's why I call
I think that one there might also be a bit about what's that wonderful phrase that people like to use? Succession planning. What was the succession planning within the that business or that family to ensure that it survived more than one or two generations? Um, how do we make the transition from the small family owned business to the large shareholder owned business where the family still gets dividends and has shares in that particular
but
enterprise,
within this environment.
but within this environment? Because Disney and Ford started off as family companies. They're not that anymore.
Right.
And I'm not just dealing about scale. I'm dealing
Mm-hmm.
with now mindset.
Right.
How do we take it from small family owned
Mm-hmm.
to shareholder growth,
Right.
that the family still has stakes and shares in it,
Right.
so that the generational wealth, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
what you're really getting at, actually happens.
Right.
And that might be a conversation not only about self-esteem, but
Mm-hmm.
about finance structures, not just banking,
Right.
finance structures
Right.
that enables that type of growth and development.
Yeah. We're not
But
investment
yeah,
thinkers.
but
A natural.
we perhaps we no, we perhaps were not allowed to be. Let's put it that way. We perhaps were not allowed to be.
I hear that. I
Um,
hear that. But Kevin, I'm going to come back and say it's about time we stop the
uh-huh.
blame game and take responsibility for ourselves. It's about time I stop
I
saying it's
agree.
because of my mother or because of my father or because of this or because
Yes,
of that.
but if we don't understand the underlying structure of why something is weak, we are forever going to make the same mistake. So
That's why
let's
we need our
understand
history. That's why we need our
precisely
history.
and analysis.
Yes.
So let's examine what that underlying structure is,
Yes.
shore it up, and
Yes.
then make that
Yes.
next step.
Right.
And oddly enough, this pandemic
Mhm.
might force us in that direction. because we're already beginning to have to think in a different way
Direction.
how we operate, how we operationalize,
Yes.
how we go about generating revenue,
Yes.
and to have that in discussions like we're having.
Yes.
Hopefully that will spark
Yes.
larger discussions from
Discussions.
others who will see it.
Yes.
And then we really begin out of the discussion to have some meaningful steps that will allow us sustainable growth
Yes.
in a totally different path
Yes.
than what we initially thought our
Traditionally thought we was go.
businesses were going.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think that's important.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. For
so
sure.
that might be one of those silver linings, as we like to say.
Yes.
Yes, I also look forward to a group of people getting together and locally and building ventilators.
Uh, there you go. There you go. I am sure if we work it out, we may very well realize that we can do it. You know, we may have to use different material or whatever. I don't know. Because when it comes to health equipment, I'm the last person you're
Well,
looking at.
I'm utterly clueless. I'm simply looking at it
Yeah.
as business and
Yes.
scalability and recognizing that
Yes.
even though something has to be Barbadian owned, it doesn't necessarily have to be in Barbados.
There you
I'm
go.
just saying that.
There, and I totally agree with you. I totally agree with
So,
you. There's nothing wrong
so
with us
yeah,
setting up a company, Barbadian company, in the place that has the most resources that
yeah,
makes it work. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The world, as we said earlier, Bajans are everywhere. Well, let us now move that from
yes,
just being present everywhere to actually building out. Our
yeah,
economy is being supported by a Barbadian
yeah,
company in Dubai, a Barbadian company in China, Barbadian company
yeah.
in Singapore,
And
wherever
and if and
that
if
is.
and if people want that, ask the question. Oh, have we ever done it? We've done it in an informal way, and I'm
Mhm.
going to use the Parkinson Institute and then what developed into Urdeston later on, and the
Mhm.
fact that throughout the English-speaking Caribbean, we exported Barbadian teachers across the region. And if you want
Mhm.
to look at that as a business,
Mhm.
and the business was remitting monies back home to families that were
Families.
here,
Yes.
that was a thriving business.
Yes.
We
Yes.
did it well.
Yes.
we
Yes.
we may not necessarily have thought of it as a business, but
Mhm.
that is in fact what we did. We
Yeah.
created surplus,
Mhm.
and the surplus went elsewhere, and it generated income
Income
and revenue that
that
got
came
sent
back.
back to Barbados.
Yes.
Okay.
No, you've started a whole new, Kevin. We're gonna have to have part two, and we may actually have to
That's
have a
no
part
problem.
three.
Oh,
So
that's fine.
before we go, I want to find out though. You're not gonna get away without answering this question. What
Uh-huh.
do you do for fun?
Oh Lord.
Because
That
we
has
got.
changed over the years as I've gotten older and matured and my body is slowed down. Um, let's see. The constants would be reading and
Mhm.
taking photographs.
Okay.
Liming has remained a constant.
Good.
Um, let's see. I used to play rugby at one time. The body
Oh
can no longer
yes,
do that. So
yes.
no.
I
Mind
just
is willing,
remember that
Henry. The
the
mind
mind
is
is
willing.
willing, but the
The
body is a
body is
different
not.
story.
Um, what's actually I find a good one for this. Um, Being a connoisseur of what we've been very good at making for the last 300 years.
And I'm gonna leave the viewers to figure out what that
What
was.
that is,
I know what it is,
precisely.
but I'm not
I
going to
believe them to
say.
figure that out.
And when we come back, they can put in the comments what
Mhm.
that is, and
What that is.
we'll see if they got it right or not. And who
Precisely.
knows?
Precisely.
Maybe the first person that gets it right, maybe I'll give them a tour. Maybe
Ah,
we'll
see,
see how
there you
that
go.
goes. When we get back out and whenever that is, they
Yeah.
get a tour. That's if they
And
can figure
and
that one out.
meeting people might seem trite, but you learn a lot from meeting people.
Yes.
If each day you don't learn something new, it's a day wasted.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
boy, did I learn a lot today.
And so did
Yeah.
I, don't worry.
Yes.
My first ever, was it? Zoom magazine interview. Well, it's kind of cool.
Great, great. So thank you so much, Kevin, for joining us in the
You're most
curfew
welcome.
line, right up
In the
your
curve.
street,
I
in
like
the
the
curfew
curfew
line.
line. I like the curfew line. It's missing some liquid though, but I like the curfew line.
Good. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure having Kevin in with us today. Some of the topics will definitely lead us to have more discussion, and you may have more discussion. So feel free to drop some of the comments in when you review this, when you view this YouTube session. Please feel free to drop some comments of some things that you either agreed or disagreed, some things that require more discussion. We'll be more than happy to have more discussion on it. And we think that from these type of discussions, as much as it's a line, we can certainly be the starting point to get some things going to the way we think differently about how we do business in Barbados as well. So remember, if you want to come on the curfew line, just drop me a note and I'll be sure to schedule you in for our time to line. I don't know what happened just now with that word, but I usually can't call it. But just now it was a little different. So definitely, and when you view, please subscribe to the channel, because out of the curfew line, there'll be more things coming out as well that I want to make sure you do not miss. We're going to have some 5-minute information sessions in my father's chair. So that's coming up. So make sure you subscribe to our channel, and we'll be back again next time with the curfew line. See you. Thanks again, Kevin.
Thanks, Deborah. Bye-bye.